a lot of people start with JROTC. They start at a club, 4-H, Girl Scout, Boy Scouts. But yeah, I actually got started with my high school, which was a great way to start. So my first year, I shot 3P air rifle. And then my sophomore year, I started shooting small bore. And I actually joined the Acorns, which is like a competitive travel team in addition. That was the first year I started going to like Junior Olympics and making these national competitions. And so that was really exciting. And then my junior year, I started thinking like, oh, how do I keep doing this? How do I do this in college?
I was 11, so I was a little bit younger than you, Ginny. I started shooting at the Spokane Junior Rifle Club in Spokane, Washington, and it was kind of just a fleeting dream at the time to actually be good at the sport. It was more just something I did for fun, and I really wanted to like beat my sister. So I joined the rifle club. My dad was a coach there. Look, I'm wearing my Ohio State sweatshirt, guys, to represent. But it ended up being the best decision I've ever made. I got my degree from the Fisher College of Business at Ohio State, majored in business administration, specializing in economics. And wow, it was truly amazing. Love my school. And, you know, you think you want to go there, take a visit. Like, I think that's really important to see and kind of feel the place that you're going to be, because I think when you get there, you know. I had that feeling. I don't know about you, Ginny, but
I did.
That was it for me.
What would be some matches you would suggest for high schoolers to go to?
Definitely anything at the Olympic Training Center. So if you can make it to Junior Olympics, that's
Junior Olympics, yes.
That is top recruiting ground. Like that is first, like college coaches fly out there. They're looking at you shoot in person. That's where they're looking at the results of everything, because they can see how you're shooting with some pressure on you.
On the topic of like student athlete life,
tutors for everything. We had a whole computer section where you could sit and work. It was kind of endless support. Like you have a lot of support so that you are able to do everything that is required of you.
And sometimes what I found was you have to be proactive.
And something important to remember is make your training time worth it. You don't need to be on the range for 6 hours a day. You can, that's great when you're at the Olympic level and maybe living at the Olympic Training Center. That's what we do. Yeah, exactly.
Everyone thinks like you're motivated, and so therefore you do action, right? Like motivation leads to action. It's the other way around, right? You start in action and that makes you motivated. So it's like a workout, right? If you don't want to work out that day and you're like, well, I'll just put on my gym clothes. And then by the time you put on your gym clothes, you're like, well, I guess I'll warm up. And then by the time you warm up and you do your abs, you're like, wait, I'm here. Let's do the whole workout. I'm really motivated.
Like for me, after a big like international competition, I would take a week off of training and then come back and start working on specific things again. So it's just choosing those things that you know you need to work on and things that you want to work on that get you back in the range, so that you're not just in there shooting, you know, for hours on end. Like you go and you say, oh, I need to work on my trigger control, or I need to work on when I'm breathing, or what I'm saying to myself before I take my shot. So you need to come up with very specific tasks to work on. That worked for me anyways, was that break and then having those specific tasks and already scheduled out. So I already knew I'd scheduled the break. I knew when I was going to be back on the range. I could look at it in my schedule. So there wasn't time for a lack of motivation. It was like, motivation is kind of a funny thing, because you think that you need it, but you don't always have it, but you just have to do it anyway. So if it's on the schedule, get to the range and start shooting.
When I was in college, you know, the NCAA circuit is so intense, and that goes from October to March, and it's so intense. And then from April to, you know, September is the international circuit, and that's so much traveling and intensity, and you're shooting a whole lot. So I would make sure to, like, when I did have a break, to really let it be a good break. And especially like after the Olympics, I actually took a much longer break than I normally would have coming back into a college season. But at that point, that's what you need. So, you know, listening to your body, your mind, you know, and it's not just about being physically rested. You have to be mentally rested and ready to work too.
Kind of taking care of myself, making sure that I'm good mentally, that everything at home was taken care of was very important for me. I wasn't worried about anything or stressed about anything. But yeah, I would try and kind of look for things that kind of made me happy. So like, you know, the chocolate or a special coffee shop around the corner or something that was kind of unique, and that'd be a way for me to kind of relax after training all day, or trying to get ready for competition. Just do something that makes you happy.
The week before I leave, making sure I'm getting enough sleep, making sure I'm eating right and taking my vitamins and hydrating. Like if you're going to go on an airplane, you really need to be hydrating, especially if you're coming to somewhere with high altitude like Colorado Springs, right? So making sure physically you are well rested, and that might even involve like shooting a hair less in the week before you leave. If you're going
less before a competition, which sounds counterintuitive, but yep, I would shoot less before.
Yeah, well, and if you have a competition every single weekend, you really can't do that. But if you're going to like your match of the year, like a really big match, you might want to just taper off just a little bit. Maybe you're shooting like 2 hours really intensely instead of 3 hours, and just, or even like bringing back the intensity a little bit, just staying in touch with the gun, but not like wearing yourself out. So by the time you get to the match, you're like, oh, I'm so tired. People who go to the Olympics, champions, like it's not the technical abilities that set them apart, right? It's the mental game. Like I firmly believe that.
Yes. And not everybody's going to make it to the Olympics. Not everybody's going to make it to NCAA.
And that's okay. The Olympics do not have to be your goal, right? If your goal is to come to the range once a week and shoot, that's totally okay. Like, don't let other people's goals become your goals.
Yeah, and even if that is your goal, but you don't make it, the sacrifices are still worth it. Like, the people that you meet, the experiences that you get along the way, it all ends up worth it in the end. Because shooting was such a big part of my life for years, and to decide to just not do it anymore, it's like, it was very difficult to transition, actually. But just deciding that I was going to be done, I kind of already knew it. If I didn't make the 2016 Olympic team, that I was going to retire because I needed to focus on career and family, which I did, and I'm very happy with that decision. So sometimes it's good to kind of have a plan ahead of time, to lay all that stuff out. But I think it's important to know where you want to go with it, and to know that it's okay even if you don't get where you wanted to go.
I think there's this misconception that retiring is like riding off into the sunset, and like, you go win your Olympic gold medal and then you go retire. And that's not what happens. Like if you win an Olympic gold medal, what do? Well, you go back. You're at the top of your game. You keep shooting. So most people, when they retire, it's not riding off into the sunset, right? It's injury. It's financial strain. It's because they don't make a team or a goal or something. And that's okay. I think we need to destigmatize the fact that like retiring because you didn't achieve a certain goal is a bad thing. That's not true. Like that, it's just like the natural ending of a chapter in your life. There's a huge rate of retirement after NCAA careers, for instance. So you graduate college, you move on, and you retire. And it's one of those like, do you want to look back on your whole shooting career and be like, well, I didn't make the Olympic team my senior year of college, so now I'm done forever and I hate shooting? No, like obviously not. You want to look back on all the great aspects of your career and your sport and recognize that it's time for a new chapter that can be just as good and just as fulfilling. Well, thanks everyone for attending. I hope this was helpful. Please message me if you liked it. Message me if you have any other questions, and keep following. If you guys like this Instagram Live, then I can make it a part of like my content and maybe do one a month or something. So if that's something you're interested in, let me know. And other than that, I'd like to say thank you to Amanda for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It was so fun. It's good to see you again. Thank you
for bringing your amazing expertise to this conversation. I know everybody appreciated it. And other than that, have a great weekend.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.